Gyarus. You either love them or you really love them. But what happens when two Gyaru fall for each other? Well, you get Gal and Gal Yuri, which happens to be my latest Yuri addiction. Let's talk about it. So about 2 to 3 months ago, Inoue Koharu released a one-shot manga called Gyaru and Gyaru Yuri. Now, I didn't cover it at the time because I wanted to see where it'd go, and kind of unsurprisingly, the story was super well received, becoming 2025's #1 most viewed webshot on Webtoon, which is basically a Japanese-based site for online manga, and it did so well to the point where it reached serialization. An incredible feat, and I'm super proud of Inoue Koharu. This manga is doing so much right, and I'm glad that it's getting the attention that it deserves. Now, the manga is still in its early stages, only having around 5-ish chapters, but there are still a few things I want to talk about with you guys towards the later half of this video. But before we actually do that, let's go ahead and talk about the story, shall we? Two high school friends, Yua and Reina, are both sort of having relationship problems. So on a pure whim, Reina suggests that they start going out instead. Yua agrees, proposing that they should give it a try for a year and see how it goes. It's a really spur-of-the-moment confession, if you want to even call it that, reminiscent to some other works like I Married My Female Friend or I Married My Best Friend to Shut My Parents Up. Each of these stories kind of having characters that decide to date on a whim, which I actually like quite a bit. And let me just say, Yua and Reina's relationship is so cute. Like, I swear if you read this, you might actually get a sweet tooth. In everything, the two are very supportive of one another and are very open about their relationship, which was something that I found to be quite interesting, you know? I feel like with a lot of Yuri manga, it takes some time to reach that point, and I mean understandably so, right? Coming out to the world like that is not an easy thing to do. But in some ways, I feel like that boldness in and of itself is a reflection of these two Gyarus. Yua and Reina are both very confident characters, especially when it comes down to one another. And that's part of the reason why I feel as though their interactions are so engaging. They don't really hide what they want to say, they don't lie, whether it's to the people around them or to each other. Some of my favorite examples of that so far are in chapter 1 where Yua shows Reina her Instagram page, and it's just full of all their moments together, or the consistent times where out of nowhere they like take a picture together and post it, which I find to be extremely funny. Or chapter 5 where the two take a shower together after getting drenched in the rain. It's not erotic, it's not stifling or uncomfortable. It's a moment of casual intimacy, which I am all for. And despite, you know, dating on a whim, it never feels like this relationship is hanging on by a thread or anything like that. To a very certain degree, through their interactions, you can tell that Yua and Reina both found something in one another. Whether that's the cure to loneliness or breaking through the monotony of everyday life. This is one of the rare stories where you can learn a lot simply by observing rather than just being told. Now, that pretty much wraps up the current state of the manga. Like I said, it's in early stages, there's only about 5 chapters, and it mostly just consists of Yua and Reina's everyday life. But now I want to talk about some things that in this manga stood out to me, things that I want to highlight, or things that I'm curious about. So for starters, let's talk about the Gyaru angle because, unlike a vast amount of stories, this one literally prides itself on being about Gyarus. So does it hold up or does it fall through? Let me just tell you outright, the whole entire Gyaru angle, it holds up very well. In this Yuri, being a Gyaru is more like being a part of a family. The representation is honestly doing numbers. Both Reina and Yua's dreams for the future involve something Gyaru related. And man, I know I've repeated this idea a lot, but I can't even begin to tell you how supportive they are of this whole entire Gyaru identity. In a lot of stories, I feel as though Gyaru is more so just a style, which, don't get me wrong, at its core, I guess it is, right? But reading this for the first time, I feel like this style is getting a sort of depth that I've never seen before. Below the love, the dating, being Gyaru is what connects Yua and Reina. It's a part of both of them that, in a way, allows them to connect with each other on a much deeper scale. Like in chapter 1, there's literally a panel of Yua and Reina talking about how important Gyaru is and how it's like family. And all in all, it's just super nice and super refreshing to see. The next thing I'm interested in that hasn't had much time to get explored are the side characters. Now, Yua and Reina are part of a group that includes 2 other people, Shion and Akane. And though we don't know why quite yet or much about them, Shion and Akane have some sort of bond. I'm sure that later on they'll get explored more, but just from what we've seen, their few appearances, they're always together and they both seem to be super interesting characters. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they develop with the course of this story. And the final thing I'm interested in before we wrap this video up is how much of the characters' lives this manga is intending to cover. At the start of the story, during the one-shot when Yua and Reina begin dating, they're both second-year students. And by chapter 2, they're in their third year. We already see a sort of emphasis on college and almost the struggle of being able to follow each other to the same university. But by the end of the one shot, we do see that they remain together until college. So it makes me wonder, truly, just how much will this manga cover? Will we stop at university or keep going till adulthood? Will we stop at adulthood or keep going until Yua and Reina have both achieved their dreams? I always ask questions like this when I'm reading a newer manga such as this, especially because there's a lot to look forward to here and anticipate, and this manga is 100% going on the list. But there you guys have it, that is the Double Trouble Yuri manga that is looking amazing so far. Just like Love Bullet and a few other stories I've covered, I'll be returning to this manga in about 5 to 6 months, maybe longer, who knows. Either way, you guys will see this story on the channel again soon. I had such a blast reading these 5 chapters that I wrote the script and finalized it same day. I don't typically do that, but I really wanted you guys to put this manga on your radar. I don't want to speak too early because the 2025 Yuri retrospect video is coming in about a month, which is basically just going to be a video where I talk about my favorite Yuri this year. And this story may be up there. If you're interested in how that holds up, be sure to subscribe so you can watch that video as soon as it comes out. And let me know down below, who's your favorite Gyaru in Yuri? Mine has to be Hadamin from Citrus. I'm sorry, but that's never changing. Most of the content on the channel as of late has been kind of deadpan, I dare say. You guys have been getting a lot of darker stories. I think it kind of started with the world doesn't understand Yuri video and it shows. And then that's kind of just been stockpiling for a bit. I've kind of noticed that following the Kitsunai video, you guys seem to be burned out from those stories, and that's my bad. After dropping bigger videos like that, I don't really factor in that people don't want to see that content back to back. You know, part of striking a healthy balance is mixing that sort of content with lighter content like this, which I will absolutely keep in mind going forward. I've even had some of you guys say that you're like not gonna watch the video because the content is too, you know, it's too traumatizing for lack of a better word, which I absolutely get. So before we wrap this up, once more, huge shout out to Inoue Koharu. I know this story most likely takes a super long time to make. The success is completely deserved. And if you want to see these videos before anyone else, becoming a member gets you early access. It's typically around 2 days earlier, I believe. Be sure to tune into that. With that said, everyone, take care.